Hello there, this is Double Exposure. I'm Riyad and this is Omar.
Today we're talking about the fourth episode of Wheel of Time, which just came out yesterday. We just pick up where we left off with the introduction of Logain, the false dragon. Last time we saw him, he was in a cart being hauled off by
he has been captured by the
he
Magus Aes
was
Sedai.
captured by the Aes Sedai. But this time, in the cold opening of the fourth episode, we take a look at what happened before, like a couple of days before.
We are introduced to this character, like what he can do, what he has been done, what kind of a threat he could be for our
We
characters.
just open in the middle of basically a siege on a city kingdom.
Yeah.
And we saw like how he deals with his madness and how he's willing to even recruit his enemies to his own cause.
That was interesting that they already set up his motivations and his personality in the sense that he did not kill the person that he was actually hunting, the person that was attacking him. He healed his wounds and actually
offered him a place in his army.
On his side, yeah.
Yeah, like an overall solid cold open. And next thing obviously we see is the opening. Last time we mentioned it, but let's go into a little bit of detail.
Yeah, like as soon as I saw the opening, I just asked you as a book reader that what you thought about the magic that they use, like the visual, how the magic is shown.
There is like thematically, it's supposed to look like weaving. You know how they would weave out carpets and embroideries, stuff like that. They incorporated that into the opening, but I think visually the magic system could get like a bit of an upgrade.
Yeah, personally for me, I more of a thought that instead of weave, they're using
it's more like a wind, right?
Yeah, they're taking
they
something
mentioned
out of the
it a
wind.
couple of times, it being looked like wind.
But thanks to the opening, it shows the weave itself. So from that, I kind of get the idea of weave.
Yeah, so we're obviously continuing on from the points where we left off. Our party got separated.
Divided, yeah.
And
we have three distinct stories now.
yeah,
going on.
the three distinct stories are being juggled throughout the episodes with like cuts from one to another.
Before talking that, I will say that I really liked how this episode juggled all those three different stories.
It was basically seamless, almost like the first seasons of Game of Thrones.
Okay. So the first story is when we see the camp and
immediately after we cut off from the last episode, we get to meet the Aes Sedai. Each like colored Aes Sedai has their own camp.
And I told you that there was different colored mages, and we saw different ethnicities. We also have we've seen. One that looked like from India, the one with hijab. We saw a couple of Asian mages. So, personally, for me, that was interesting to see different races.
But very diverse in their showing of like women. And so after that, we basically brushed up on what the difference between male and female channelers are, because
the guy
immediately without even telling us, the guy Logain, who was in a cage. Who is still in a cage?
Who's captured by
who's captured is being like suppressed by two different women, but he himself just is basically sitting there without like even having sweaty.
So this is similar to the books. So
So in the books, men are told to like have infinite magic potential where they can get better with training, but women have a set limit to their power. But one thing, they can pull their powers to like basically, I don't know if it was intentional, but this seems like commentary on real world, how men are more loners and females like to group up.
So the next part that we are shown is the characters Perrin and Egwene, and they're again with the traveling folk. The last time
who
we
are
saw
the
them.
gypsy counterparts of this world, and we're told of their philosophy of the way of the leaf, which is basically like a pacifist
approach.
A pacifist approach to life, where our main characters ask them what they do when they're attacked, and they tell that they try to avoid and run away from confrontation as much as possible.
And actually, our main characters asking them why are not suspicious of us, because maybe we could be thieves, we could rob you, and
I mean, we kind of get a different way of looking at life in this world.
Okay.
So then we're cut to our third
story.
storyline, which is Tom, Marilyn, and Rand with Matt, who are just stopping by a barn which they want to spend the night at, and get like threatened by the owners.
Okay.
But they like expertly.
They try to negotiate their way out without using any brute force. And here, personally, again, as I said, the first time that I watched, I never thought that Rand could be the main character, main protagonist of this plot of this story. Here, he comes a little bit forward in the sense of the story.
He takes initiative.
He takes the initiative.
Even though he had like the Gleeman character, Tom Marilyn, with him.
One thing you said that this scene comes a little bit earlier in the book.
Yeah, the pace, not the pacing. Let's say the
chronology.
The chronology of the events has been changed a little bit, because this barn scene normally occurs before they reach like a big settlement, and
so the village wasn't present in the book from the previous episodes.
Yeah.
That they meet.
There is like a village where they stop at, but it's kind of further along the story.
Okay.
So then we're like last time we mentioned that Matt took
the dagger,
like a corrupted dagger, and we see his further corruption.
No, that's the thing. We now see the corruption, as you said. In the previous episode, it kind of was implied because of his change of behavior and attitude.
Yeah, he got a little bit of aggressive, and
he's vomiting, and a little bit like a dark energies.
He's having visions also, because there are like slight cuts and haziness is seen on the scene.
But immediately after this scene, I really like the next scene when the daughter of the people who own the barn, she brings a bread and they start talking. I don't like that scene because it kind of felt personal to this character, because we already know that how he is caring about his sisters that he left in his house. So this scene was a little bit
the scene that will come further along will have a bigger
impact. Impact for this.
Yeah, but again, as I said last time, Matt is the one of the most underdeveloped characters in the first like 2 or 3 books, but here he's getting a lot of screen time and a lot of development, and it's for good. The actor portraying him does a really good job of it.
So interesting how it turned out when he will be recast. He's
recasted. Yeah, he's recasted, which is sad, but let's see. I mean, I believe they're gonna shorten his like first 3 or 4 parts of his hero's journey, because they need to keep on a fast track. It's not a book; it's a TV show.
Okay. So the next scene that we
cut back to the camp with the Aes Sedai, and we see the warder side of which are basically males who have bonded with Aes Sedai.
Yeah, protectors.
Yeah, they're protectors.
Female mages.
Yeah. And we see a scene where Nynaeve asks, is there something between the warders, and the other warders like give her a chuckle, because as we mentioned last time, the relationship between the warders and the Aes Sedai
similar to the platonic relationship.
It's a very platonic relationship. They're more like best friends than romantic companions.
And I think this scene also did a very great job to showing how these warders are kind of friends. They're kind of high school friends that have couple reunions after a couple of travels.
Yeah, they're basically grew up together, let's say.
Yeah, like how they're training, how they're making fun of their own stances, how they could improve upon them. That was a really interesting point to see.
We also get like further explanation of the relationship between the warder and the Aes Sedai, because one tells how the other how he's feeling sleepy because she hasn't been sleeping, and
there's also, he said that whenever I drink, you feel emotional.
So the connection between them goes further beyond than
just senses. Okay.
So then again we cut back to Perrin and Egwene, where they are like having a festival of some sort, having a dance with the traveling folk, and Perrin obviously because of his trauma, like goes to the sidelines and has a talk with the let's say, de facto leader of the like traveling folk, the grandma character, who tells her about, like, from what I understood, this was the point where you got a little bit more understanding
about
of
the wheel,
how the wheel functions, where if we had to draw parallels between our world, it would be something similar to the Buddhists' like philosophy of resurrection.
Okay.
Where with each wheel there's like a basically like resurrection.
Okay, I think this scene was a very important scene, because for those as me, newcomers, they needed to understand what the wheel is, and here the grandma really greatly explains that I would like to create a peace, and Perrin says that the peace that you have created won't last, like the grandchildren of your grandchildren won't see it. And she says that I'm creating this for my daughter who is already dead in this turn of the time, and when the wheel turns again, I will really like her, when she is resurrected in a different body, to be in a peaceful world than the one that she died.
So even though they're like way of belief, their pacifist way may seem like a idealist way of thinking, hers is maybe something more selfish, like her choosing this path, because we are shown some mercenaries, I believe, or soldiers who have chosen this way of life because they are so familiar with violence, they have like rejected it completely in their lives. She even says something along the lines of he who is more familiar with violence is more cautious of it, because he knows it.
And I think another one quote that stayed on with me, that when Perrin asks this grandma character that you know who killed your daughter, and
why not take revenge?
Why not take revenge? And she says a very great quote that what is a great thing that you can give us revenge instead of death than life. Instead of violence, peace. This goes very well. That how
I think it was directly translated from the book to the
so it was in the book.
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay.
So we cut back to our second group, the Tom Merlin band,
who are in the barnyard.
Yeah, who are in the barnyard, and Rand gets his second nightmare, which here right now is literally a nightmare.
Yeah, a dream sequence that is becoming now nightmare.
It's getting more twisted and twisted. But last time it was just
about him,
dead bats, basically, and this time he's back in the village where he grew up, and he sees all his friends going on
he sees
suicidal rampages.
From what I understood, again killing his wife. And Matt just being kind of controlled, kind of being
by the man with the coal eyes.
And it ends as he's being approached by man with ember coal eyes, and just taking him and screaming at Rand, and he wakes up.
By the way, them showing Perrin murdering with his wife, which is a secret that Perrin is keeping from them. Let's not say murder; it was an accident.
Okay.
It may be like an illusion of Rand's powers in the future, because he has powers of prophecy. He can see to the future.
Okay.
Because he saw something that he shouldn't have seen.
All right.
Then
Rand wakes up and he sees that Matt is not around him, and they run to see the family that they were staying with, and they actually got murdered by who?
Matt basically slaughtered them because of the effects of the dagger.
And that's the thing, he's not realizing it.
He's not in control. His eyes have gone black.
They got chased by the creature called Fate that controlled those orc look like Trollocs, and when he sees the body of a little girl that we mentioned in the previous scene, he as if wakes up from the control, and again he now realizes what he has done. So with this we see that he's being controlled.
Tom Merlin basically wrestling with a Fate, and our party getting on their horses and running away.
And as you mentioned that this
that was in the books. That was quite a cool move from him, because Fates are 3 or 4 times stronger than normal men, and Tom he can't use magic. He's basically like a Bard / rogue character, and he goes toe to toe with a Fate, which is basically a Nazgul.
Okay. So after this scene, Matt, Rand, and Tom, they just run out of the barnyard.
I don't believe Tom ran out with them. He says to them to like run away, and he stalls the fate.
Okay.
He's gonna rejoin them later.
And after this scene, we are again coming back to the camp of the Aes Sedai mages, and after that, until the last part of the episode, it stays here.
Yeah.
Here we have a very interesting plot development.
Yeah, so Lan is seen like doing some kind of ritual from his homeland, and Nynaeve is curious about it, and you get a little bit of backstory about the Seven Towers, which Lan came from. For those who don't know, Lan is basically the Aragorn equivalent here, who he is like a king who was promised, who instead chose to devote his life into to a mage, basically.
And at this scene,
think like if Aragorn basically pledged his life to protecting Gandalf.
Okay. And then this scene kind of sets up the relationship between both characters.
I mean, book readers know that Nynaeve and Lan basically end up together.
Yeah.
But I mean, for its time, it was revolutionary in that there was no fooling around with them, no teasing. They straight up told each other that they liked them, and by the time they reach like the White Tower, they get married. And the show is like good at portraying their relationship as something more adult instead of the more childish romance between Rand and Egwene.
Okay, and this peaceful moment is broken by an army that
Loghain's
follows
army.
Loghain, and they are just attacking camp nonsensically.
Yeah, and he uses this moment of distraction as a means to escape. He breaks his shackles and his cage, and basically in couple of minutes he kills a bunch of like people. Not kills, he kills one.
He kills one mage
and wounds the others really badly. Even their warders, basically.
No, this happens because that scene I really liked. Like we see how these warders are protecting the camp in the forest before the army arrives to the location that the captured Loghain is, which he is being protected by 3 mages, if I'm not wrong. And one of the mages, when is killed, her warder feels
her
that,
death.
and they try to run to help them. And when that warder tries to attack while the mages wants to protect him from using his powers, he just uses
he uses that to break his like shackles,
and he uses all the parts of
the axes multiple get shattered, and they pierce basically everyone in the room.
It just hits everyone. It just cuts the throat of
Lan's throat. He loses a lot of blood, but we see Nynaeve like rushing in to help them, and we finally get to see why she could be one of the candidates to become
because they said that in the previous episode, one of the characters said that 5 of you, and they questioned 5 because
who could be the 5th?
Who could be the 5th, and we're introduced that she's
the 5th because in a prior conversation, Moiraine tells Loghain that you can't be the dragon reborn because the dragon's power will be as bright as the sun, and
we see kind of something similar visually.
It mirrors her saying, because Nynaeve, when she unleashes her, let's say, healing powers.
She heals not just one person. Everyone is healed. Like the Lan who lost a lot of blood.
Even without touching, because in a prior scene we see that the Aes Sedai has to be close to.
She had to use her hand, but here she just creates an
aura. Let's say.
An aura that heals everyone that is near her. And I think, as you said, this is very interesting point because, for non-readers, we could question who could be one of those 5. The dragon. Actually, I already know, as you've read the books and you said to me that Doran is. This is an interesting point to see that.
Because right now it's left kind of ambiguous as to the identity of the dragon.
To make us question who could be the dragon. And personally, again, if Doran is the dragon, I personally do not buy it for now because he's not showing that a lot. And
I mean, I think this is done because as it stands right now, Rand is the least developed of the characters. He isn't told. This is, again, I believe, an attempt to keep the identity of the dragon ambiguous. Because in this episodes, we're again told by Tom that perhaps Matt is the like Dragon Reborn because he shows signs of him having some magical potential, which we as the watchers know that it's the corruption of the dagger.
Okay. And the episode just ends when one of the warders is trying to save one of the mages, but she dies, I think.
Yeah.
And
I mean, the last scene was with the Aes Sedai pulling their power and gentling the Logain.
So gentling, it's somewhat of a just sucking out the power that he has.
It leaves the. We mentioned this by Tom, who says that those who have touched the one power, when they are like pulled away from it, they are no longer the same. And we see Logain, who was like this ominous figure throughout the episode, start to cry basically.
Okay, it's because he lost the connection to the power and he's just a human being now.
He's just a man.
But you said to me that this is the biggest change from the books because he wasn't gentle.
Yeah, these scenes weren't in the book. I mean,
They
the one
went
with
to
the
the-
camp. The first time we're introduced to Logain was when he was being paraded to the streets where they are right now going to. This could be like a great showing of his power from the get-go because in the books his like full extent of his abilities are shown a little bit later on.
Okay.
And this would again explain how they actually got him to the city. Because we are told by the Aes Sedai that
they're having trouble controlling his powers.
they're having trouble. They're getting tired while he isn't even like breaking a sweat.
But he has his powers in the book.
He's
not
he has
gentle.
powers.
So what do you think? Is he gonna again receive his powers?
Probably.
Because
Probably.
As you said, that this character is important to the plot. It's not just a secondary character.
Maybe they'll do something similar to Avatar, where they can take off your powers and a stronger like member or like user of the one power can grant you back your powers.
Okay.
It's like they are closing your chakra and he's opening them back again.
This was a really interesting one because the episode is kind of in the middle one because we have
And it
now
was the longest, I believe. It was an
1 hour. Yeah, it was on an hour. And I think now we're halfway through the season. Personally, for me, I'm interested how it will go, and hopefully this will go on for a couple of seasons. I know that the second season has been confirmed. Now they probably now in the pre-production stages, or
probably
already,
writing the scripts,
or they're shooting maybe. Hopefully this will go out, and
I mean, right now I'm cautious that they won't be able to cover the first book. It would be like similar to the Dune situation where they cut
part
out
1, part 2.
But as I mentioned last time, from the episode's name, it looks
seems
like
that
they
they
are
will.
gonna cover.
Probably they're gonna cut non-important parts or the parts
Because right now they're adding a lot of original scenes and deviating from the ones that are in the book. They haven't like added any unnecessary scenes, I believe. Each scene has a role in developing the characters we see currently in the screen. If you read the book, it goes in a little bit of fast pace, and the amount of characters we're introduced to might feel like you don't get enough development for the ones that we are introduced at the beginning. But right now we're getting like steady pace of character development, let's say.
Okay, that's great because it seems that they have a long run.
I just don't want
a long plan.
I just don't want these first 4 episodes to be the slower ones and the last 2 to be like super rushed with them jumping from one plot point to another. So because as it stands right now, they've only covered like 40 or 35% of the book.
Okay, that's great. But I think if second season is already confirmed, then probably season 1 should end on a cliffhanger, and it will probably end on a cliffhanger to make people come back for the second time.
It is a 14 book long series. I don't know how they're gonna do that because the books take place over like 5 or 6 years, I believe, and the TV show is gonna take a year to film for each season, and our main characters are gonna grow. Maybe that's why they like changed the actor for Matt.
Okay.
Maybe he didn't fit their vision in what they were trying to make.
So our discussion of this episode has concluded. Again, next week when the new episode released, we will talk about it. Thank you for listening. Hopefully, see you next time.